Students, so this video we're going to handle the second prompt. So the second prompt we're going to use just the grids from 2001 and 2011, and we're going to show all of the pixels that developed between 2001 and 2011. So that's how we, as like practitioners would discuss that problem. If you're starting to try to think like a raster, what we really be looking for is pixels in the 2001 grid that had a value that made us think they weren't developed, right? So they were undeveloped. It doesn't matter what they were in 2001. Could have been wooder, no value, farmland, but we just want them to be undeveloped. And then by 2011, right, looking in that 2011 grid, they had a value that indicated that they were developed. So we're looking for land that developed between 2001 and 2011. Right, so this is a pretty simple one, most simply solved through reclassify. So we could take out our reclassify here, and I could drag in 2001. Right, that's the really nice thing with a tool like reclassify. You can use any of the fields, like we learned about in previous videos. Like if I don't want to always be thinking in terms of numbers, I know that there has to be a number guiding the operations. In this instance, though, it's a nominal number in name only. This number simply corresponds to a thing. Like 11 means wooder, and in particular, it means open wooder. Right? 21, 22, 23, and 24, all of them mean developed land. Right? That's the family of land types they are. But each value represents something more individual. 21 is open space that's developed. 22 is low intensity development. 23 is medium intensity, and 24 is high intensity. So those are nominal. All right, so I'm taking my 2001 here, 0, or sorry, it'd be 1, and anything but developed would get a value of 1 here, because that's essentially what I'm saying is like I don't care what you are in 2001. I just want you to identify yourselves as like putting yourself into like two groups here. And one group is I was not developed. So anything but developed would be not developed. And the other group would be land that was already developed. You can be a 0 because you're already developed in 2001. So you'd save that as whatever you want. I already saved mine. Okay, and I called it P 2001 developed right here. This may have come back to you with different things. Right? What I did is I simply clicked on them and reminded myself that, okay, a value of 1 didn't matter what you were, it simply meant you were undeveloped in 2001. And a value of 0 didn't matter what you were, it simply meant you were developed in 2001. And that's how I handled my 2001 criteria. Repeat the same thing for 2011, except the opposite, right? In 2011, we're just looking for land that is developed. Right, so everything else can be a 0, except developed land would stay 1. Cool. Developed land. You'd save it. Mine came back to me as this. I named it P2 2001, like part 2. Again, I changed it to remind myself that a value of 1 in this instance is nominal. It simply means developed. It's a categorical value. So now I just need to combine these two together, and I can be able to see all the land that moved from one to another. A couple ways you go about this. You could add them, right? We could take our raster calculator and we could say, hey, bring those two together. And you'd wind up with a total of 3 possible values, right? You could be a 0. If you were a 0, that'd be weird, but that'd be land that was developed in 2001 and then became undeveloped by 2011. So maybe land that went vacant or some issue happened. It's possible, but probably fewer instances. You could get a value of 1, and that could happen in one of 2 ways, right? I mean, for all you know, it could be land that was developed in 2001 and stayed developed, or land that was undeveloped and stayed undeveloped, right? Since they're opposites in 2011, 2001, to retain a value of 1, one would have to stay true and the other wouldn't. Then you'd get a third value of 2, and the only way to get a 2 would be you'd have to have a value of 1 in 2001, which means you were undeveloped, and you'd have to have a value of 1 in 2011, which means you did develop. That would equal 2, and that would help you answer the question. I think kind of a clearer way is just to set up a Boolean expression. As we said when we first learned raster Boolean, just a fancy word for true-false. That's all that it means. So we're simply saying, in 2001, my value was 1, meaning I was undeveloped. And in 2011, my value was 1, meaning that I was developed. Bring that together to answer prompt 2. Hit OK. Bleebity blabbity blue. Give it a shot to run its magic. And there you go. Your question is successfully answered. Right? And you can always remind yourself, wait, 1, what does 1 mean? Oh, 1 would mean not developed in 2001, developed in 2011. So that's the land that developed between 2001 and 2011. It'll be up to you to figure out how you want to show and convey that to me.